Remember how SA2 had multiple missions for each level? Typically they'd change the level design, or they would just give you a different objective other than reaching the goal. My favorites were the Chow rescues and the hard modes, and funny enough, Sonic X Shadow Generations also has both of those. The way hard mode works in SXSG is a bit different though. Sometimes they give bosses more HP and they restrict how many rings you can find, but sometimes they do alter level design to give you a bigger challenge. The difficulty isn't on par with something like Sonic Unleashed DLC, but I do appreciate how Shadow's Doom Zone operates, and I particularly love the single ring missions. Those are hardcore and really fun to speedrun. But even then, the hard mode content in this game is pretty short-lived, and as someone who knows every level on both sides of this game like the back of my hand, I often try to find new ways to challenge myself, such as practicing speedruns and skips. And I'm always going to have room for improvement on that side of things, so there's always new things to do, but in terms of base game content, sometimes I still need more. And that's where the Expert Mode mod comes in. Any Super Mario World player knows that the natural next step once you get bored of something is custom levels or ROM hacks. And this mod is probably the closest we're ever going to get to SA2 hard mode returning in a modern game. And it really keeps the spirit alive because just like SA2, it keeps the main level design intact, but adds some Frank's red hot sauce to the level assets. Some areas are enhanced with even more assets and there's a lot more going on, and other areas are just completely reworked from the ground up. It's really cool. And I particularly admire this mod because recently I've been using dev tools to actually make level design changes on my own. I actually at one point considered doing something very similar to this mod, but hey, I got beat to it and that's kinda cool. That being said though, I am cooking something a bit different on my own, and I'll share more once that's done. You'll notice I'm not just playing Expert Mode though. First up, we're rocking the Shadow X skin, which is obviously inspired by Sonic X. You might notice that I also covered the Sonic X skin for Frontiers about a year ago, so it's really cool that both Hedgehogs have this exact aesthetic. Additionally, I added my very own Archie Chaos Spear mod, since I vastly prefer green spears over yellow. This is just a mainstay for me. You can't get me to take it off, man. Don't even try. And I'm not gonna lie, seeing a cel-shaded 2D outline on this 3D model paired with the spear's vibrant lime green makes this whole thing feel like 2D artwork straight out of a comic panel. The flat colors are very noticeable, they pop, but they're not overwhelming compared to the world around Shadow. In fact, from a distance, you may not even realize that Shadow is cel-shaded. But he's just vibrant compared to everything else, and I think it works well. And it doesn't take an expert to tell I also added Mello's Reanimated mod. I made the Reanimated mod in Frontiers as well, so this was an easy pick for me. I'll break down some animation specifics that I love a little bit later in the video. And I'm not even saying this as like a quirky script joke, I actually almost forgot that I was using the multiplayer mod during this. I just found the multiplayer mod to be such a seamless integration into everything I do with these games. It has the benefit of being compatible with 90% of mods out there, like level mods and physics mods, etc, etc. Like, no matter what you're doing, you can just see other people running around too, it's fun. I also have a whole video on the multiplayer mod, which you can watch down below. But for now, I'm gonna keep this simple. I just love seeing people squad up and trying something new with me. It's very comfortable to see other people at various points of these expert mode stages fighting for their lives. And let it be known, these acts are pretty unforgiving. That's not to say they're not fun though. On top of that, I also made a custom nameplate based on the Relaxing Cafe. It works very well with Shadow's coffee obsession. And here we are in Kingdom Valley. We're getting dropped off by Mr. Eagleman. You'll notice basically right off the bat here, I'm using the Kingdom Valley Rain mod because I wanted to give the hard mode of this level its own like hardcore unique look so that you can differentiate it between the others. And I love that animation right there, dude. The actual Shadow Generations Chaos Snap animation basically recycles Sonic's Frontiers Air Parry animation. But I like that this one, he does a full spin around. Also, this area is crazy. It doesn't look like it because I'm zooming by, but those laser fences are extremely fast, and all of the enemies in this level have been edited to actually be difficult. Their shots are accurate and fast. And here we are. This cave section is usually a reward for taking a secret route, but in here, it's a sidestep section akin to like Sonic Unleashed or the original Sonic Generations. The reason I jumped down here is because there aren't a lot of rings in this level, so if I want to maintain my boost gauge, I do have to use Chaos Control quite a bit, which I've said before, that's one of my favorite aspects of Shadow Generation's gameplay loop. And here we are in the Doom Surf section. This part is really fun because there are so many bombs here that are planned for you to use high-speed momentum to jump over. I just love how tight the inside of those corridors were. This may look like a lot of asset spam, which is probably the only thing I dislike about custom level edits, is that, yeah, it does look kind of ugly. Like, these laser fences, boxes, ramps, they don't really fit the aesthetic of Kingdom Valley, but it is what it is. We can't really do anything about that. I'm just glad that I get to do more in these levels as a whole. And I don't need to tell you that pretty much all of the alternative routes have new stuff to see, new obstacles to avoid. Oh, and I love how the clouds look in this section with the rain mod. It exaggerates them much more heavily and makes the world around you look a lot more dramatic and moody. It's really sick. This section right here, I do typically like going on the bottom route. You will skip over this if you hit the ring that's moving around, but I just love the utilization of these lasers, like, disappearing, and you have to time it properly. You don't really see that kind of gameplay in the original. I also like this section because they give you something to do on the rails for once. This is the smoothest part in the whole level. Look at that, dude. His full 360 after the Chaos Snap Owing attack into charging every individual Chaos Spear. Oh my god, that part feels amazing every time with this animation mod. And also, the Black Arm Soldier there was changed to have the shield variant instead of the usual one that you see with the sword. This part's really cool too, because you're getting shot at by the Black Hawk while trying to dodge the spikes in the water. And this save is so cool, dude. Like, I thought that I wasn't going to actually get the top route, but boom, you just double jump after landing right there. Oh, this section is actually one of my favorite parts, platforming-wise. Like, it's just so wide and open. I like that you usually do have to scale the spire, but here I use Chaos Control to take the top route. Very often the top routes on those jump ropes are actually inaccessible in expert mode because the developer put a bunch of like spike traps there, which is why I didn't go on any of them until just now. So this section is probably one of the coolest adjustments they made. You don't actually do homing attack spam here, you use the wind trails. And it reminds me a lot of the level design in Update 2 and 3 of Sonic Frontiers, where you use the momentum of these ramps to get through, and you actually have to position yourself through the jail grate here. It's really fun. This section is pretty basic. It's just kind of like you can't skip over the wall like usual because there's a bunch of bombs here. Basically, just be really good about jumping over things. Jumping over the bomb and then hitting the ramp and then getting prompted to do a trick off of it felt really good, by the way. I love how many like close-up camera shots there are. Oh, hey! That's an example of just how accurate the egg gunners are, but I used that to my advantage because I was on a weird piece of terrain. This is one of my favorite edits to this level, by the way, because these tornadoes, hurricanes, are from Radical Highway Act 2, but they aesthetically work really well in this section of Kingdom Valley, especially with the extra rain from the rain mod. I do take it kind of slow in this section because if you do get hit by these hurricanes, you basically instantly die, and I didn't really want to sacrifice my precious S rank. Timing in this section can be pretty weird too, actually. I actually struggled on that last hurricane a few times, but here we are. Like, look at that beautiful outline on him when we get a close-up of him. And here we are on Act 2. I kind of prefer how the rain aesthetic fits this level. By the way, those egg gunners at the very beginning, you have to, like, mash the homing attack to get past them, because their shots are so accurate, dude. It's pretty annoying this early into the level, but I honestly just appreciate that enemies in a Sonic game are fighting back for the first time since, like, Heroes. This section is fun, because obviously there isn't all of those spike balls, and it makes you think a lot harder with your timing. This section is fun too, because they replace the wall jump segments with spikes, and you have to utilize your air dash and think fast on your feet with your stomp. That part's cool too, because I actually had to utilize Shadow's teleport through a physical object, which is something you really only did in Rail Canyon and Space Colony Arc. By the way, I think it's really cool that I could see another person also experiencing this level design, and I have played it a few times before they did, so I was able to not get hit by the spike on the wall. I will say the physics are a little bit weird in Act 2 of this level when you're running up walls. There's several segments where you try to avoid a spike that's placed on the wall. By the way, clutch skip. But the gravity, for some reason, will always pull you inwards towards the spike, so you have to tussle with the gravity for some reason. I don't really know why. This part was actually kind of more challenging than usual using the rain mod, because the rain mod inherently just makes everything darker. So the inside of this establishment was not the easiest to deal with. I guess it is also worth mentioning that Chaos Control is your friend if you're struggling. This part was really cool though, because they changed a basic vertical platforming segment to escape a booby trap with the raising spikes. It cleverly adapts this ongoing gimmick of, like, moving walls and everything. Oh, so this segment's funny because, in the middle of me doing stomp jumps, I slide and get comboed by the spike and then smushed. This part's really cool because I actually enjoy that they add a little bit of urgency to these rising platforms other than losing some time. Like, you will get killed if you're smushed there. Oh, and this part is really clever as well. It also feels like some kind of temple booby trap. And I find that that's a section where using a spear vault at the end there is actually very beneficial because exhausting your air boost 2 times is not ideal. I will say, though, at the latter half of Act 2's level design, I feel that it gets a little bit boring. It's still difficult. There are things like that cheeky spike trap that you have to avoid. Lots of trial and error in trying to get a clean run of this level. There are many, many moments where you won't see what's ahead of you because it's 2D. But, like, I think you'll notice here that a lot of the level design is just kind of point A to point B. But I will say, I really love how the fog looks in this part of the level. I didn't really notice the fog all too much in Act 1 or at the beginning of this level, but this segment here where you get to see more of the castle architecture outside in the rain with fog, like, you can just know how misty this feels, dude. And there are also flashes of sunlight in the top left of the screen. It's just extremely immersive, man. And there we go. I'll use this as an excuse to say I got A rank just to show off a different animation with this model and not because I died a few times. In general, I just love how silky smooth this model is, dude. The outline is perfect, it accentuates everything good about Shadow's color palette. It makes his animations a lot more visible too, which is a great pair up with Mello's Reanimated mod, because every new thing that Shadow does in this mod is buttery smooth, man. So having that outline so I could see it better is just such a little treat. I've seen a lot of different mods that replace Shadow's boosting animation with skating, and I never really like them, honestly. He just never skates as fast as he did in SA2, and it always looks odd to me. But I don't mind the skating animation in this one, honestly. He actually has like 3 different states of speed. For a brief second, uses his vanilla skating animation, and then with more speed, he transitions into Mello's animation, where his feet are kind of tilted at an angle and his legs are moving in a specific way. I just love the way that his body diagonally shifts left and right. It feels really nice. I probably made these levels look pretty easy, but I definitely recommend that you try this out for yourself and even try to speedrun it. There's probably a bunch of different routes that I didn't even show. And if you have access to the multiplayer mod, I definitely recommend playing this with your friends. It's hilarious to witness the BS in real time. But that being said, if you like what you saw here today, check out my Sonic modding playlist, as this is what I usually do. Give the creators some love on Game Banana, their stuff is also linked down below.